Hey guys, and welcome back to CCM's Uptake. I'm Jeremy Burleson, Director of Community Engagement with CCM, once again, and as always, joined by Ed Hosack, our Executive Director here at the ministry. We once again are extremely excited to be here with you today on this platform as we talk about yet another topic that's really, really important, not only to us, but to this community and as we continue to thrive. That topic being housing. And housing capacity, to be specific. We're going to dig into that a little bit more as we go. We pray that as Ed and I walk through the next 6 to 7 minutes here, that you will be encouraged and you will find a way to engage with us and take up your cross to help us and collectively us as a community find a solution. And if you would, let's look at this housing topic. Let's look at as the seasons begin to change, as we're touching this fall season. Housing obviously is an important topic, specifically those that may or may not be facing insecurity in that space. Tell us a little bit about the current state of housing here in Cabarrus County as you see it.
Mm-hmm. Sure, and it's important to look at the big picture.
Sure,
we're blessed here in Cabarrus County and have been for quite some time with just tremendous economic growth and business development. There's in-migration of people and talent because people want to live here.
Yeah.
But with all of that come challenges.
Sure.
And one of those is the cost of housing as it continues to go up, as whether you're buying or whether you're renting.
Right.
Part of that growth, those jobs that are developing, many of those are in retail or tourism or hospitality or even transportation and distribution. And quite frankly, though, the wage growth simply hasn't kept up with the cost of housing.
Sure.
And so it's left many of those families vulnerable, living right along that line of vulnerability where the slightest interruption, whether it be an unexpected change in household income or an unexpected expense that the family didn't anticipate, can put them at risk.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that in our community. In Cabarrus County, even before some of the challenges we faced in the past year, Cabarrus County has averaged 100 evictions a month for the last 10 years. Yeah. So we know that there are families who are experiencing crisis and cannot find their way back into the housing market. And that's where CCM focuses a lot of its attention.
So let's dig into that just a bit. So as it relates to homelessness, most are evicted and they do fall into that trap of homelessness. Let's talk about that a little more. I understand there are 7 sectors or seven types of homeless as it relates to populations. Let's talk about that a little bit and also how it relates to actually a document that CCM drafted, and that's the 5-year prospectus. Touch on that just briefly about the program, number one, but ways that we as a ministry are helping to solve that solution.
Right. So we are aware of, and our work with the Cabarrus County Homelessness Task Force has informed all of us that there are 7 homeless populations. The largest and perhaps the most vulnerable is that portion of the homeless population that are families with children, especially. And some of the strongest indicators and best informed are our school systems, who give us those numbers every year. And for the last 5 years, have reported over 500 students each year who were homeless at some point during the year. So they get a tremendous amount of our attention. But the other 2 areas where we're most challenged, the other 2 populations, if you will, are senior adults.
Yeah, sure.
Especially those seniors who suddenly find themselves living alone.
Yeah, sure.
And are not prepared and do not have the resources to manage all of that and become extremely vulnerable, especially if they don't have the family supports around them. Right. There are a growing number in our housing program as well. And finally, the chronically homeless. And that's an area and a population that challenges all of us in Cabarrus County.
One thing, Ed, that's encouraging as we're working toward finding that solution, and I compare it to, for those that have been listening to us for our last several episodes, you've heard Ed and I talk about our 2025 New Horizons Strategic Plan. 2 of the populations that we have clearly identified in that plan line up very well with the 2 that you just mentioned, with families and children and of course seniors. Not that we are excluding the other 2 by any means through this, because all are affected. but it encourages me to realize that we believe we're trending down the right pathway to help find this solution. What are some areas, Ed, that CCM specifically is giving the community opportunities to help? Choose Cabarrus being one. I'll give you that as a little dangler there. What are some other areas that CCM is giving these community members opportunity to help find this solution?
Mm-hmm. Well, right now, especially as it relates to housing capacity,
sure.
That is one of the driving forces behind our efforts right now, is to increase the number of housing units, beds, and safe places to bring families from homelessness or out of housing crisis, to stabilize them.
Sure.
You know, Jeremy, what we know is that without stable housing, a family cannot properly store and prepare food. They can't get adequate rest or hygiene. They can't do the necessary activities to support education or employment or even participating in family life. So joining with us and the many partners that we're working with to address all the populations, right, whether it be those previously incarcerated who are struggling to find their way again, their feet, to get started, residential rehabilitation, young adults aging out of foster care, as well as the chronically homeless and those who are facing disabilities with extremely low income. So partnering with us, partnering with those agencies who are doing the work, making sure that we can put the supports in place so that these families not only find stability, but then are able to begin rebuilding their lives and putting a plan together.
Absolutely.
So that they can move beyond this crisis.
Friends, you've heard it from Ed and I today. You're going to continue to hear it from those associated with CCM. Building a greater and stronger capacity for housing, specifically transitional and emergency housing, will be an immediate need and goal for ours for the aforementioned future. That's for sure. And so we encourage you to find ways, help find ways to partner with us, and vice versa, in ways that we can work to build this housing capacity. We pray you've been encouraged by what Ed and I have talked through today. Once again, you're welcome to join us in a couple of weeks back here again on CCM's YouTube channel for another episode of CCM's Uptake. We most importantly hope and pray that you will share this episode on your various social platforms and help us spread that good word.
That's right. And you know, you asked me about the Choose Cabarrus
I did.
Fund.
I did ask you about that.
I overlooked that. Creating housing opportunities, outcomes, sustainability, and engagement.
Yes.
You can find it on our website at cooperativeministry.com.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being here today.